Hey, this is Dave from Dave's Hunting and Shooting and Bushcraft, and today we're going to process a couple hides. I'm going to show you the orange bottle, the Hunter Trapper's formula, and compare it to the borax alum, or kind of a pickling method, and see which one is the better process to use. So hang around. Dave out. Hey, it's Dave, here at the house, but doing stuff I would like to be able to do someday out at the property. I just didn't have all the resources. So, getting ready to tan a couple hides. So this one, I'm going to tan. This is the one you see on Amazon and Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's. It's Deer Hunters and Trappers hide tanning. It's based on the hide being salted, and then this applied after a series of steps. So the first part though is exactly the same as the other hide I'm going to do, which I'll show you in just a second. So this hide, I'm using this Trapper Hunters formula, and the curing or the prepping of the meat or the hide's mainly going to be done with salt, and you'll see that process. But the fleshing is exactly the same, and I'll put a link to the video that I did on a simpler way to do a deer hide. And it uses, what I'm going to do on the other hide is I'm going to use a mixture of alum and borax, and make it into paste, and you just put it on the hide once it's fleshed. And then it's just a series of steps you go through each day for a couple days, and then 5 days later, and then you use neat's feet on the hide. But that process you can see in the link. The important thing in that link though is that the prep of the hide is the same. You have to flush the hide. So I use a pressure washer. Have a towel nearby to wipe off your face because you're going to get wet, so you can see. Wear safety glasses and keep your mouth closed. You have to use like a finer setting on the pressure washer, and it'll rip the fat and meat right off, and you get down to a pretty decent consistency. It's not perfect, but it's definitely good enough to tan. The other processes will take off the rest, but it is pretty close. I mean, it's nice. I got some dirt and stuff in it from processing. I did rinse them, but where I was rinsing, it had a lot of cut grass in it, so I was battling that. But anyways, put all that aside. This hide and the other hide I'm going to show you are both ready. So two different processes, and we're going to see how they turn out. This one is used by a lot of people, and they really enjoy it. I don't know if it's going to be easier or harder, but we'll go through the process and see which one is the best. So that's the other hide. So it's probably maybe a foot bigger at the base. It was a bigger deer. So that was a doe and that was a buck. You see the size difference in them. Yes, I know I got some holes in it, but after the tanning process I'll cut around them and stuff. So anyways, that's how it goes. So yeah, stick to it. I'm going to do the salting on this, and I'll show you that process. Then I'm going to do the borax and alum mixture, 1-to-1 ratio. Add some water, just create a paste. On that one, I won't show you that because I already got a video that shows you how to do that. So there's no point in repeating it. Just know that that's what's going to happen to this one. And I will show you some comparisons side by side of the differences and how they look through the process. And we'll see at the end which gives you a better hide. The first step here, after you get it fleshed, is to rub this down really well with salt. And you have to use a plain salt. Don't use an iodized salt, just plain salt. You can find it at Walmart, usually on the bottom shelf by the salts. They don't really put it up front, but just get you a bunch in your hand, and you're rubbing it in everywhere. All right, there we go. So let that go and cook for 24 hours. I've let this hide, treated it twice with salt. Now the directions said to salted, folded on itself. I chose to put it out on a frame. So that may be a mistake that I paid for, but I think the power washing of the hide cleaned it enough. You can see it's turning a nice white. But anyways, scrape any remaining salt off, get a warm salt bath ready, let it cool, then put the hide in it for 6 to 8 hours, it says. So this hide, this is the second application of the alum and borax. So this will get scraped really hard, and then the third application of borax and alum goes on, and then it sits for 5 days like that and dries. 2 gallons of water, and the formula says hot water. It's a ½ pound of salt per 1 gallon of water. So I've got 2 gallons of hot water, which should equal 1 pound of salt. So I'm going to put this whole 1 pounder in there. So I'm not sure what it is. Alright. Pour this into the water. Try to get this all stirred up really nice. To hold the hide pretty well. Alright, let's see what we get. Yeah, let it cool. So I gotta let it cool. So chill out for a minute. Took almost 45 minutes, close to an hour to cool down. So now it's time to submerge your hide. Keep it submerged. Yeah, it just says submerge it. Doesn't say turn it or anything, but that sits 6 to 8 hours. So 8 hours from now is 8 o'clock. Now thin the skin as much as possible. Just says hide tanning formula. Anyway, a product of Trapper Supply Incorporated. I looked on Amazon for it, and it had a different name. It was like, well, I'm not gonna guess. I'll put the links that I found for it in there. We're gonna work on this hide. It's been soaking in salt water for 8 hours. My son Drew hung it up for me while I was out of pocket. Over there, you can see it. And so the next step, the next thing I gotta do is wash the hide. So they recommend Dawn, so I'm going to put a little Dawn in here and fill up a bucket with water, and we'll wash the hide. Then I'm going to rinse it one time, and then we're going to hang it out to dry for the night. And in the morning, I'm going to put it up on the frame. We're almost to the point where we can use the orange bottle, so we're close. Soap in here. So just cool water. Put about 4 gallons in. I'm going to agitate it a little bit. So far, I got to admit, I think this process, unless something changes, I think this process is going to be simpler or easier. So I have to eat a little crow. So I've deviated in a few areas. Like I put the hide on a frame and salted it without folding it on itself. Now here I'm going to rinse, and they didn't rinse, so that's going to be on. Clear water. Looks pretty clear. Then suds up. Let's put this dude in here. Rinse it a few times. I'm not getting much soap out of this thing at all. So I'm gonna take her out. Let's go hang this dude up. Watch out, baby. All right, I'll bring you back in the morning when after the hide's dried for the night, and we'll get it up on the frame and give it a good once over. Make sure it's ready. You don't see any fat and stuff on it. Make sure it's ready to dry out. And put the Trapper's solution on it. That'll be the next step. So we're almost there. The hide is supposed to be moist and pliable, not fully dry. The risk I take of putting it on here today that it'll dry out too much. If it does, I'll sprinkle it down with a little warm water to get it back where it needs to be. So it's the next day. As you remember, we washed this out and we hung it to dry. It dried out, probably a little too much. So now the directions are to trim off any fat or anything you see on here that doesn't belong on the hide. And actually I'm going to do some dramatic trimming. I'm actually going to trim all these connection points off and get to the point where it's just the hide that I want. So kind of like that. So I'm going to do that now. There we go. So that's my hide. It says to do all this at room temperature, which I'm sure is important, you know, if it's winter time, but right now it's like 70-some, 80 degrees outside, so it's kind of perfect for us. So it's just cool water. Yeah, it's pretty pliable right now. All right, this has been soaking in hot water. So make sure it's hot, not cold or warm. You gotta soak it in hot water, it says. And then I'm gonna pour it on and rub it in with the glove. Don't laugh at my glove. That's all I could find. You gotta be careful to save some because you have to be able to do more later if you need it. Oh, that's interesting stuff. Okay. And it says you might have some redos, so we're probably going to stop it right there. Make sure I got an even spread everywhere. Try not to touch it with my fingers. Alright, now we're going to fold it on, so watch out, babe. Watch out. Watch out, watch out. Oh. How did she go? This one? That would make more sense. Yeah. And then we're going to put it in this box and let it sit. And then check on it and see if it's getting soft. The hide, so you go in the house, it's going to just sit and store 2 to 3 days to dry. It says periodically check it. Make sure the hide is becoming pliable, soft. Stretch the hide as you're checking it. If you see any troubled spots, add some water and then add some more of the warm Hunter Trapper's solution onto it. So you just, it's like a redo, you just redo it. Now let's look at this one. So this one, so the borax, this is the one with the borax and the alum. So this is in just finished day 2 of drying, so this is day 3. It's got 2 more days of drying. Once that's finished, you see how white it is? I have to scrape it all off, and that is a chore. This has been, I guess, treated and stretched twice, but I've let it sit for a long time. I stopped stretching it because I was pretty happy with how subtle it was, softness, but you can see like here on the edge, I stretched those a little bit more, and it's much thinner and not as soft. But you could do it every place along here, and when you stretch it, it gets this nice white color to it. We're just going to stretch this side over this bar stool. You just need something to that you can grab and pull on. See how it pops out into that whitish color as you stretch it. And this is where the work on this method comes in, because it takes a little bit of effort here to do this. And the more you stretch it, the more so that really pops white on the edges. That's stretching it. Let me show you the hides side by side. So the hide here, right there, on your left, that is the hide that was done with the Trapper Hunter formula, Hunter Trapper formula. The one on the right, that was done with borax and alum. It just folds and, you know, just flops, and it's really soft and pliable. Hey, so you've seen the difference between the two different tanning methods, and like I said, they got about, I don't know, another day of drying to get maybe. I will say on the Hunter Trappers, although it's real pliable now, as it dries out it will get stiff. You have to keep working the leather to keep it. It's just like a baseball glove, you got to keep working it. So versus the borax and alum method, where it is stiff, and to loosen it you have to work it as well if that's what you desire. It's just a choice. But we'll talk about that here in a second. So let's look at the differences between the two and do a little analysis here. So I did I broke down and tried to come up with the exact amount of time I spent on each process. And so the Hunter Trapper formula, the orange bottle, in total time of preparing the hide to the point where you're seeing it, is 5 hours and 15 minutes, knowing that it's still got some work to do, but not a lot. The Alum Borax method, and you saw where it is, I probably won't do anything more to it than keep putting neat's feed on it until it's to a nice consistency that I like. And so that's 6 hours and 15 minutes. So it's a whole hour longer in time. So that's one perspective. From an economical perspective, yes, from an economical perspective, the orange bottle, the Hunter Trapper formula, on Amazon is where I looked, and there's a variety of options to buy, but the least expensive I found was like $9.98, so right around $10 for a bottle that will do one hide. And you saw on the size of hide I had left about maybe a quarter of a bottle, so it could definitely do a bigger hide, but it's not going to do a great big hide. You're going to need more than one bottle. And then it would take about at least four pound-and-a-half containers of salt, and non-iodized salt, so natural salt, and you can get that at Walmart for pretty cheap. The salt I have at about $2 to $3 total cost. So that sets this up at about $12 to $13, the cost to do the orange bottle. The borax and alum I have at the borax most expensive, and it's like $10.34. The alum is $5, and then the neat's feed is $3.70. Neat's feed's a little expensive, but you don't use a whole lot. One bottle can do several hides. In terms of cost, the borax is 47 cents an ounce. The alum was 25 cents an ounce, and the neat's feed is 37 cents an ounce. Knowing that the neat's feed is the least to use, you use equal amounts of borax and alum. Anyways, I came up with a total of $19.50. So, cost edge goes to the orange bottle Hunter Trapper's formula. All right, so effort. So effort, what is the strain on your body, to do it, each of the methods, because not only is it time intensive, but it's effort intensive. And knowing that flushing was equal for both hides, so then the effort really is an examination of after the flushing. And I'd have to say that the effort is much more on the borax and alum than it is on the hunter-trapper's formula. Basically, it's because the hunter-trapper's formula is just a series of, putting stuff on a hide, letting it sit, taking the stuff off, bathing it, cleaning it, and then, applying something. And, it's a series of processes like that in and of themselves aren't overtaxing. Whereas on the borax alum, you're putting it on a frame, the hide goes on a frame, and you're putting this paste on, and then 3 times the paste goes on, and 3 times that paste has to come off. And it takes about an hour each time to get that paste off. That's just manual scraping of that hide, so that takes a lot of effort. So yeah, 3 for 3 hunter-trapper formula. Also under effort, I think about ease of process. And so if I was to say what's the easiest, is in terms of processes, it's the alum borax method. I mean, it's very simplistic. You just put that hide in the frame, and then you mix using a ratio of 1:1 with water or paste, and you put it on a hide. You wait 24 hours to scrape it off, and you repeat, and then repeat again, waiting 5 days before you scrape it off. That's pretty simple. And then then it's putting neat's feet on to work that hide to get that leatherly texture. In terms of process, I think that borax alum is definitely easier. So I would say if you want a hide that you can work to being something that's going to be more like leather, knowing that you're going to have to work it for a while, I would say the orange bottle is what to do, because it leaves your hide in a state that's easier to make it workable and pliable. And I kind of showed that on the video, if that's what you're wanting. But if you want a wall hanger, a decoration on a wall, put in a cabin or someplace, or to put on a tabletop or set as a floor covering, I definitely would go with the borax alum, because it leaves it flat, and you don't have to worry about the ends curling up. It's going to hold its shape, and so I think that's it's an important consideration. The hides I did last year with the borax alum, they are they're in perfect condition. I gotta admit, when I went into this, I really thought, and I'll eat crow here, because in my previous video I said I was showing you the easy way to tan a hide, and in all ways but one, it's not the easiest way. The easier way is the orange bottle hunter-trapper's form. It's definitely easier. So yeah, is what I showed you before the easiest? No. Is it easy? I mean, it's easier than brain tanning or bark tanning or some of those others, but the orange bottle has got to be. So there you go. I ate some crow. The good news is you learn from this. You move forward, and as you process your hides, I encourage you. If you take a deer this year, think about taking that hide, put it in the freezer, and when you got some time, try one of these processes and tan your own hide. Anyway, like I always say, make kindness your business. Do something kind for somebody. You never know how much difference that act of kindness on your part, and it takes effort on your part, can have in a person's life. It can really change things around. Thanks for watching. For Dave and Lillie Out.